Hi everyone. Um, so this video will be in continuation of our IAM privilege escalation path series, and specifically we will be looking into uh, IAM put role policy permission, IAM set existing default policy version permission, and IAM put user policy permission. So let's see these one by one. So first one is IAM put role policy. Uh, so this policy basically allows the user to update or add any inline policy to a role. So the prerequisite for this challenge is our user should be having this permission, put role policy permission, and our user should also be able to assume a role uh, which we will be updating. Means to that role we will be adding additional permissions. So our user need to have permission to assume that role. So by default, when we deployed this, uh, we only got this permission, but not the permission for assuming role. So I have added that manually. Uh, so this is required if you want to see the uh, privesc path clearly. So what you need to do is you need to basically modify the policy which is attached to the user to this. You need to add this assume role permission for to that user, allowing that user to assume this role. And same thing, you need to go to the role and add a trust relationship, allowing that user to assume this role. After doing these two things, we can proceed with the exploitation. Not exploitation, I mean abusing the permission. So copy this. Okay, so if you want to see the help for this, put role policy permission. Uh, it says that we can, if any user has this permission, he can update or add any inline policy to a specific IAM role. So we will be doing the same thing. This is the IAM role which we can assume, and we are adding we are adding this admin access. So the command is not this. Okay. So we are adding uh, this permission, allow all dot JSON. So if I show you, I have a allow all dot JSON uh, policy, which is basically administrator access policy, allowing everything to every resource. So what we are doing here is we are attaching this inline policy to this role. Then we will be assuming this role. No error. So if we go to our console, go to permissions, reload, or refresh, yeah, we got this policy. Okay, so now this role has administrator access permissions. Uh, so now what we can do is, as our user can assume this role, we can get temporary credentials. So these are the temporary credentials. secret access key is this, access key ID is this, and access token is this. Save. Now let's uh, try to see whether credentials are valid or not. STS get caller identity and profile name is assumed role. Assume underscore role. Enter. So we are able to assume this privesc 12 role. Okay. Uh, so this was the first uh, policy which we permission which we assume abused, put role policy. Uh, and before starting this challenge, you also need to configure the credentials for previous 12 user. So for that the process is same. You need to go to the console, go to security credentials, copy the access ID key, and you need to find the secret access key in the terraform.tf state, and then configure these in credentials file. Okay, so let's see the next one. IAM set existing default policy version. So let's see the help for this, what it does. Set default policy version help. Yeah, sets the specified version of the specified policy as the policy's default version. Okay, so we can uh, change the default policy version. So policy managed policies can have multiple versions. Uh, so we can change the version basically. So for this as well, I think we need to make some modifications. Privesc uh, let's close this. Privesc 2. So our user has this permission. So what we need to do before trying to solve these challenges, we need to have another version which to which we will be changing to. So this is a prerequisite you need to do. Um, Edit policy, go to JSON, I want to add a new version each time. Okay, so when we modify this, we will create a new version automatically. Okay, I will be using this again, administrator access policy, paste. Okay, uh, bracket, review policy, save changes, policy versions. So we have a version 2 as well. So now by default, version 1 was there, and we will be our user has permission to modify the version. I mean change the default version. So we will be changing to version 2. Simple. And the command for that is this: copy, paste, policy ARN is this, copy, paste, and we need to change it to version 2. Profile will be privesc 2. Uh, yes, let's use the role. So in this case, I am already using, I'm using the assumed role. Okay, rather than using user, we don't need user for this, for abusing this. Enter. So we didn't got anything in the output of the command, but if we reload this and go to policy versions, version 2 became the default one. So when version 2 became default, we got administrator access privileges. So let's see next. Put user policy. Uh, Put user policy basically allows you to modify or add policy for the user. Users with the permission can add or update, and yeah, so we can add or update inline policy for any user, for a specified IAM user. Uh, so this is pretty simple. User for this is 10. Go to users, privesc 10, security credentials, copy these. Okay, we need to find the credentials in the tf state file. Get terraform tf state grep for the credentials, and privesc 10. Paste, copy, paste, save. AWS STS 10, previous 10. Okay, underscore user. Yes, so our credentials are valid. We are able to log in as previous 10 user. Now we can run this command. So we are uh, attaching administrator access policy to ourselves. We are adding a new inline policy. Enter. We didn't got any output. If we go to permissions, reload. So we got this new inline policy attached. So we became administrator. Simple. So I hope you understood uh, the previous parts for these three policies. That's it for this video. Thank you for watching.